Hi, everybody. Laura here. Today I'm excited to be joining Kennedy Grace Creations, part of their grand opening blog hop. I'm going to be playing with this new stamp set. It's called Beautiful Blooms Sweet Rose. It's got a gorgeous rose image that I'm going to emboss. I have a piece of Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock using my Mini Misty, inking that up with some of the new Simon Says Stamp Clear embossing ink, and it works great. And then once I get that inked up, I'll pour on some clear embossing powder. And once we get that poured on, hit it with the heat gun, we can start to color it. Now, I will admit, my first thing that I tend to go to with coloring is Copics. But I thought I would step outside my comfort zone, do something a little different with this pretty rose image. So I pulled out my Ziggies, my Zig Clean color markers, and I have the 24 pack. I've had them for a long time. I hardly ever use them because one, I sometimes get a little intimidated, and two, I'm too hard on myself. And if I could give you one piece of advice with the coloring, by the way, I started with light pink, and I'm just putting some around the inside edges of the rose petals, then taking my water brush. This is my favorite tool, the water brush. It's like the Pentel water brush, but there's lots of different brands of water brushes and they all work fabulous. I just happen to love this Pentel one that I've had. And I just put a little bit of ink and then I drag it out. And it gives you that great fade, nice dimension for your rose. Now I'm going in with some darker pink. This is the pink, it's called. So I'm using the light pink and the pink. I only used about 6 colors out of my whole 24. And so now I'm adding a little bit of bright yellow, just kind of going with it. I really don't have a plan. Now this is what I was gonna say, was to not be so hard on yourself. I know this can be intimidating, and I sped this up really fast so it looks like I really know what I'm doing, but I really don't know what I'm doing. And I went very, very slow. And sometimes you get this little thing in the pit of your gut that is saying to yourself, I've completely wrecked this. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm making just a disaster of this rose. But you have to persevere. You press on through, and before you know it, it starts to take shape, and you're like, this ain't too bad. I think I can do this. So you just got to stick at it. Don't be too hard on yourself, and just have fun with the ziggies. And so now I'm coloring in the leaves. I'm using the pale green and the light green. So I always like to start light and then add some of the darkers. Now, if you let it dry a little bit, you can get a great blend when you work wet. But if you let it dry a little bit, you can get more intensity. And so once I got all my flowers and leaves all colored, I went with a little bit of cobalt blue. What I did was I just put a little bit of cobalt blue on my clear acrylic block and then really squeezed my water brush to dilute that blue color because I want it to be very, very, very subtle. And then now we're moving on. I can't talk quick enough to keep up with my card making. So I'm cutting off about 1 inch on the left side of my card. This is what you call aggressive cropping. Well, that's what I call it anyway. And this just, to me, gives it more interest. I like to add a little crop. I think it gives it that wow factor. If you just have a flat flower on there, I mean, it's fine. It's beautiful. It's great. But if you want to kick it up a notch, do some aggressive cropping. That's what I say. Okay, so now that we've got our cropping finished, I've got these Mr. Hueys, the opaque white and the black. I'm going to do a little flicking, a little splattering. And now you could leave it plain like this, but I think the splattering just gives it that something. I don't know. It kind of makes it look a little trendy. Can I say that? I don't know. I'm getting it all over my mat and all over my fingers. Now, I did not show the part. I had to edit it out. I probably should have left it in because you would have enjoyed the fact that I did knock over my opaque white bottle there and I spilled about 3/4 of it all over my black mat. It was everywhere. You should have seen it. You would have got a great chuckle out of it, but I edited it out because I had to take my panel, put it aside carefully. Then I had to scream, and then I had to clean it all up. So now my Mr. Huey's opaque white's nearly empty. But I think I want to buy. I see these people, these gals around Blogland, and they're using the Copic opaque white ink. I want to try that. I think it might be even whiter than the Mr. Huey's. I don't know. I'll let you know. So now what I'm doing is popping up the panel. I put a little striped pattern paper on the side, popping up the cropped, and then I've got a little sentiment. I went ahead and embossed it. I didn't show that, but it's also from the Beautiful Bloom Sweet Rose stamp set. I embossed it in white a little sentiment banner. And now to finish it off, I'm adding some sequins. These are also by Kennedy Grace. They are the Red Sangria and Springtime. I use a little mixture, little this, little that. Look at that flicking. Isn't that fun? Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.